Hello and welcome into another edition of the Fat Guy, I can't even talk, Fat Guy Podcast. My name is Brett Mason and I am the Fat Guy. Thanks for listening to the show. I'm a guy who was overweight my entire life. I started being overweight when I was as young as 6 years old, and my weight gain just increased throughout my entire life until I reached, shockingly, over 400 pounds. In 2016, my doctor told me that I was pre-diabetic and I'd need to start taking metformin and I'd probably need to start taking insulin soon. That's when I started taking my weight seriously and decided that I would get control of my health because I refused to go on medication for diabetes. Since then, I've lost almost 100 pounds and completely reversed my pre-diabetes. I did it all without the use of any drugs, any potions, any pills, or any kind of wacky, crazy diet advice. My fasting blood sugar used to be 115 to 120 at a fasted state every morning, and now it ranges in the low to mid 80s. I've spent hundreds of hours researching what makes us get fat and have an obesity problem. What I discovered was it's not our fault. We don't get fat because we're lazy. We don't get fat because we have no willpower. We don't get fat because we just like to sit around and eat over and over and over. There's actually a metabolic process behind that, and you can correct it. I'm not a doctor. I don't have any formal medical training. Anything you hear in this podcast is my opinion and only my opinion. It's not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease. For your health and weight loss goals, you should always consult with a health professional. So as I mentioned, I am approaching 100 pounds weight loss. I like being able to say that. Like I can't really say 100 pounds, but I'm like, it's almost 100 pounds because it's close. I'm 6 pounds away now. And I know that it's coming because I know that I understand what makes me and everybody else gain weight, and I know what makes us lose weight. So I'm real pumped about that. I wanted to talk about a few steps that you could take to start a ketogenic diet, because even though it's funny because I do these podcasts every week and I explain in some detail what the ketogenic diet is. And you also have Google, which is your friend, and YouTube, which is a huge resource. This is what I use. People still will message me and go, what is this diet and how do I do it? And I'm happy to work with people, but I have so many people messaging me. It's really hard to work with everybody all at one time and, be prompt with replies and stuff. So if you have sent me a message and it does take me a while to get back to you, please don't think that I don't care. It's just, I have a pretty involved life, and I'm a caretaker for my mom, and I'm trying not to starve and make a living, and I'm trying to do this. So I will get back with you, but just give me some time. But I thought I would do a series of things that you can do that will move you towards a ketogenic diet. And if you don't get to a ketogenic diet, at the very least, it will help reduce the cause of obesity. So I'm going to repeat what causes you to get overweight again briefly before I go to this. And I'll probably start doing this every podcast because people need to understand it. It's like I said in the opener, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't have any willpower or anything like that. Your body internally has been compromised. You have insulin resistance, most likely, and metabolic syndrome. And once that happens to you, you will stay hungry all the time. You will shovel food in your mouth constantly, and it won't have anything to do with your willpower. Your body will have taken over at that point. Now, people can temporarily use willpower and lose weight. It happens all the time. I lost 10 pounds and, I did the lemon diet or the grapefruit diet and I lost 15 pounds or whatever. But check with them in 6 months or a year and see where they're at. 96% of people will have gained the weight back plus some. So, sure, you can do willpower in the short term, but the long-term answer is to fix what's broken inside you, to correct the problem that's causing the metabolic disease, what caused it originally. And that's sugar. Sugar's the problem. Look, sugar's good. Sugar's good. Oh, it's so good. The thing about it is, though, is once you give sugar up, you won't miss it. And the reason you miss it is because you're eating it. When you are on sugar, sugar really should be classified as a drug in America. At the very least, it should be considered a food additive and not an actual food, because it has no food-like properties. Other than calories, it has zero properties of food. Sugar is as addictive as heroin, as crack cocaine, and its effects on the body are nearly as severe. They typically stretch out over time. But here's the basics of weight loss. You have a couple of weight loss hormones. You have insulin and you have leptin. Now, The first thing that starts happening over time when you consume all this sugar that's in the American diet, your body becomes more and more resistant of insulin, which makes you pump out more insulin, which makes you more resistant to insulin, which makes your body pump out even more insulin. And then you have metabolic syndrome. Now, what happens is in a presence of high level of insulin, your body, that is a natural signal in your body. A high level of insulin, when your body is working normally, when your insulin level is high, it signals your body to store fat. That's what the signal does. When your insulin level is low, it tells your body to burn fat. Now, if you've reached insulin resistance and your insulin level is always high, guess what's going to happen? You're going to always be storing fat. You are never going to be storing fat. That's why you can't lose it. Also, as a part of this process, you over time, same thing that happens over time because of this process, you become leptin resistant. Now, leptin is the hormone that signals your brain that you're full. It signals your brain that you've had enough to eat. So that's step number 2. That process gets broken, so you don't never know when you're full. That's why you see people, and I was one of them, you could sit down and you could plow through 2,000 calories and think nothing about it. It is not natural to eat 2,000 calories in one sitting. It just isn't. Your body should stop you way before that happens. But your leptin is broke. Your leptin signaling pathway is broke. And the last thing that I'll say is insulin, it transports fuel into the muscles and into all the cells, actually, not just muscles, but into all cells in your body. It is the key that unlocks the cell to allow energy in. When your body becomes insulin resistant, insulin is pounding at the door and only a little bit of insulin manages to open a few doors, but most of it doesn't get in. And so what happens? Well, the signaling pathway says, well, let's take all this energy. If it's not fat already, let's figure out how to convert it into fat and let's store it until we can figure out how to use it. So you're not burning that energy. So you could be eating 2,000 calories, but because of the high level of insulin, your body is just shunting 10, 20, 30, 40% of those calories into fat. So that's the other reason you're hungry. You're eating 2,000 calories, but you're not getting the full 2,000 to burn. Because of the high insulin levels, the insulin resistance, and all the other things that are happening due to metabolic disease, most of that energy, or a good portion of that energy, is getting shunted into fat cells, and you never get to burn it. So, of course, you're hungry. You're eating 2,000 calories, but you're having 400 or 500 of them stolen from you, or 600 of them stolen from you and shoved into fat. So that's what happens. So how do you fix it? Well, since your insulin system is broken, you have to bypass it and just remove the need for insulin. Sugar causes insulin response. Sugar/carbohydrate. Now, for clarification, understand that carbohydrate is sugar. There's no difference between sugar and carbohydrate. They are one and the same. So anytime I say sugar, I mean carbohydrate. And anytime I say carbohydrate, I mean sugar. That's that. So think about your life every day and what are you doing to keep... Don't think about what you're doing to be fat, because you associate that with eating. I'm fat because I eat too much. I'm fat because I, blah, 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 blah. No. Think about you're fat because your insulin level is high all the time. If you will get your insulin level low, your body will start burning the fat. It just naturally happens. So how do you get the insulin level low? Well, you stop consuming what makes insulin go up, and that's sugar or carbohydrate. So I'm going to do a series of things that you can do to move towards being on a ketogenic diet. If you want to jump right into it and have a coach and a mentor, you can contact me and we'll work out a deal where I'll work with you and I'll get you there fast. But if you want to do it on your own and you don't have hours to research it and you just want to start doing step-by-step things that will start lowering your insulin and start the weight loss process, I'm about to share it with you. Number 1, liquid sugar has to go. You can't have it anymore. Well, I'm not going to say you can't ever have it. I've been on this ketogenic diet for a long time now, and I've had one of those little bitty baby, 6-ounce Cokes? I had a half of one of those one day, and it was way too sweet. I did not enjoy it, and I haven't had one since, so I don't even want it anymore. But that's not to say you couldn't occasionally enjoy something sweet, but you know what? Don't do it, and after you don't do it long enough, you won't like it anymore. So liquid sugar's got to go. That's sweet tea, that's all of your Cokes and all that kind of stuff. And you can move to a diet drink, but I'm going to tell you, even some diet drinks signal a certain amount of insulin because the sweetness is there, and your body will release, based on the sweetness, your body will release insulin in anticipation of sugar coming. So even though the sugar doesn't come and the insulin doesn't actually have to do anything, some of it still gets released in anticipation that it's coming, if that makes sense. Now, that being said, sure, you can drink diet stuff, and it's way better than drinking other stuff, but some are better than others. I'm going to tell you this, pretty much if it comes in a bottle, you really just shouldn't drink it. You should make your own sweet stuff at home, which is what I do. I buy unsweet tea, and then I sweeten it with a monk fruit sweetener, which is an all-natural sweetener. It has 0 glycemic index, so it doesn't signal insulin release. Stevia does the same. If you're going to try stevia, don't get stevia in the raw. Stevia in the raw is basically stevia mixed with sugar. So when you're looking at the label of your artificial sweetener that you're buying, if it has anything that ends in ose in it, that's sugar. Dextrose is sugar. That's the funny thing about, I think it's Sweet and Low. It's either I don't remember if it's the yellow or the pink packet, but one of them, the number one ingredient is dextrose, and then it has a little bit of sucralose. So dextrose is sugar. Most of the packet is sugar, and they have to mix it with sugar because the artificial sweetener is so bitter and nasty. But you got to let that go. You're drinking your calories, and there is nothing to stop your insulin goes through the roof when you drink a Coke or a Pepsi or any kind of beverage with sugar in it. There is nothing to slow that sugar down. There's no fiber in the drink. There's nothing in there to slow that sugar down. It's like it's literally like sticking a IV into your vein and pouring sugar straight into your veins. That's what happens. And then your body freaks out. It sends out insulin like you wouldn't believe. And since you're insulin resistant, because that's why you're overweight, you're already insulin. It sends out 10 times as much insulin as it would for a normal person. So how much fat you think you're going to be burning? Knowing what you've learned today, that when insulin is high, your body will not burn fat. How much fat do you expect to burn? You're not ever going to burn fat. If you're drinking Cokes, even one a day, you're keeping your insulin levels so high, it takes it so long to come back down. You just never burn it. So that's got to go. You got to let that go. I'm sorry, but you have to let that go. I highly recommend water. Water is very refreshing. Drink it ice cold. But in the absence of water, I drink unsweet tea. I'll tell you the sweetener I use if you want to try it. It's really good. It's a monk fruit sweetener. I buy it on Amazon. It's called Sweets, Sweetz. Now, they have it in all kinds of different forms. They have it, I think, maybe made with aspartame. They have a different one made with sucralose. They have a different one made with something else. Get the one that's monk fruit. You want the monk fruit sweetener is the one you want. So that's step number 1. I'm going to give you 2 steps. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you stop eating bread. You stop eating bread immediately. You don't eat biscuits. You don't eat toast. You don't eat muffins. You don't eat bagels. You don't eat, I don't know, whatever you don't eat cake. Cake is bread. That's all. If it's made with flour, you don't eat it. If it's made with flour, you don't eat it. Okay? That's just a simple fact. You're like, well, I like cheeseburgers. Me too, and I still eat them. I just don't eat them with bread. If you think it isn't good, just try it. Get you a big old juicy hamburger patty, put you some cheese on there, put you a few onions on there, put you a slice of tomato on there, gob the mayonnaise, because fat is good for you. Fat is good. Gob the mayonnaise on there if you like mayonnaise. You know they told you mayonnaise is bad? They lied to you. Mayonnaise is great. Gob the mayonnaise on there. What is bad for you is the ketchup. So if you're going to use it, you only just use just a few dribbles of ketchup on there. Mustard is fine. Put you some mustard on there. Sit it on a nice lettuce leaf. Then just chow into it. You're going to be surprised how good it is. Now, it's going to seem weird. See, there's a difference between things being not good and being weird. It's going to be weird to eat a hamburger without a bun, but it's not going to be not good. It's going to be good. We were up in Noonan at Cancer, that's Atlanta, really, suburban Atlanta, Cancer Treatment Centers of America with my mom last week. And typically on one of those days, because there's a Wendy's just right by the hotel. So I'll go get the Baconator. Now, Wendy's is great. Wendy's, I don't know about in Dothan, but I know most Wendy's, I haven't ever ordered one in Dothan because I have my kitchen here, and usually I just cook what I want in my kitchen. But Wendy's is one of the fast food places that's great. You can say, I want a Baconator with no bun, and they don't even flinch, man. They'll just pop it out there to you in a container, and they don't have some places you go and you say, I want a burger with, they're like, what? You don't want no bun? Well, what am I supposed to do then? Five Guys is great. Five Guys, you say no bun, they'll pop right back at you. You want it wrapped in lettuce, or you just want it in a bowl? They'll wrap it in big leaves of lettuce for you, which you kind of try to use like a, bun, or else put it in a bowl and you can use a fork and a knife. Anyway, I'm just telling you. Now, here's the other thing, is you can't have the French fries with it, but that's really more than 2 steps, so I'm going to stop short of that. So I guess until my next podcast, I guess technically you could have a burger with no bun and still eat French fries with it. The French fries would be slightly better for you than the bun, but not much. But I said 2. I'm giving you 2, so I'm going to stick with my promise. There's 2. You stop drinking sugar, and you stop eating anything made with flour. Okay? That's it. That's step number 1 to moving your body from what you want to do is move your body from a sugar burning machine to a fat burning machine. Nobody says, look at him, he's so sugar. No, look at him, he's so fat. So if you want to fix the fat problem, you need to burn the fat. You need to turn your body into a fat burning machine, not a sugar burning machine. You want to burn the fat off? You want your body to naturally switch over and burn the fat? You need to switch it to a fat burning machine. All right, guys, I really hope that helps. You can message me. Fat Guy Podcast is the Facebook page. You can send me a message on there if you would like to work with me. I'm willing to do all that I can with you on a personal one-on-one basis. And my passion in life is helping people. And if you want to just ask a question, ask me, and I will get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening to the show. I really appreciate it.